Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Conscious Lover series. My name is Miko Lau, and I am a men's intimacy coach dedicated to supporting men just like you to becoming the powerful and confident man that the feminine desires and craves for. And let's jump in right away with welcoming today's guest, Keith Yackey, who is the founder and creator of marriedgame.com, where he teaches men on how to get their wives to want them again, especially in the bedroom. So with that being said, Keith, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit and welcome to the series?
Well, thanks so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. And anytime I get a chance to share with guys the things that we struggle with, or the thing that I specifically struggle with, and that is that my wife left me over 5 years ago because she was no longer attracted to me. The light bulb went on and this calling kind of came about. And so I'm a man on a mission to share with guys how to get their wives to be attracted to them again and to want them and to initiate sex and to be enthusiastic when they're having sex, all because of the pain that I went through by not being the attractive guy that my wife signed up for. And in fact, being so unattractive to her that she literally was like, my life would be better without you in it. And left, moved states, took my daughter, eventually ended up finding another guy and was basically trying to build another family. And I came to realize I was 90% the problem. And when I discovered that, I realized, dude, us guys can fix this if we eventually stand up and become the most attractive version of ourselves. So I basically created a framework for men to start to see what actually is attraction. What are the elements of attraction? And while I teach married guys, or I teach guys their wives have left or threatening to leave or separated or divorced, 95% of the stuff applies to every guy, whether he's single or not. Because most guys are like, I want to date a really attractive woman. And it's like, yeah, but you're not a very attractive guy. Like, and I'm not just talking, abs and biceps. I'm just saying your personality is not that fun. And so that's what I really break down to. That's what I spend literally every waking up or thinking about or talking to guys about or talking with my wife about, because, she has and had a lot of insight into this whole thing. So I feel honored to be able to do this.
So good. And I can just hear from your passion, Keith, like you are this man on mission. And I absolutely love everything that you're about. And it's a conversation that I feel is so needed, yet most people are maybe too afraid to even open up, to seek support, and to talk about things like sex in a marriage. It's so important, yet we're not really taught how to become that attractive lover that our partner desires. So I would love for you to dive into some of the elements that you talked about that makes a man, a partner attractive. What are those elements?
Awesome. This is my favorite topic in the world. So here's what I've discovered. When my wife left, I hired 3 different coaches to help me get her back. And while they had some good stuff to say, I actually never felt like any of them really went through what I went through. And so I was laying in bed one night. She had come back. It had been about 6 weeks. We weren't even having sex at that point. We were just kind of feeling each other out again, which was an interesting thing. And we were laying in bed and her foot touched my foot. And it like sent just sparks up my body and I started to cry. And I realized, wow, I am at the lowest spot ever. And it was at that moment that I kind of heard this inaudible voice in my chest that was like, I'm going to use you to help millions of men go through exactly what you messed up so that they can figure this out as well. And so it was almost as if this next bit of time, these frameworks started to become very clear to me about what I had messed up and what were things that were actually important to my spouse. And so we have 5 dials. We used to have 4, but now we have 5. And they're simply this. Most women are totally unattracted to their husbands because, number one, they've stopped being a good partner. And when I describe partner, that partner dial, it's more like, are you and your wife best friends still? Or is she just the one nagging you saying, hey bro, can you hit the hamper? Your socks are 2 feet away. And she starts to become the mom in the relationship because guys are just, they start acting really idiotic and weird and almost think that she's going to pick up after them everywhere they go. So this partnering dial is, does my wife feel secure in the fact that I'm her best friend, she's my best friend? And how this looked now is, I don't check in with my wife like she's a client or an investment. I hang out with her. I want to know what's going on with her. I'm curious about her day. I'm curious about her opinion. And not only that, but I like doing things that she finds are fun and not just everything. Because in my world, I've been in business for a long time. She kind of got swallowed up in my identity and lost hers a little bit. And so I feel is my job as a partner to let her shine in her area and to hold her up and to not hold her on a pedestal, but to let her go be the most her that she can possibly be. So how did that work in my life practically? We have a lot of parties at my house, and we love shooting pool. We love doing karaoke. We love having a good time in our house. And my wife had this like rinky, crazy microphone with this little like kind of shitty speaker. And it was kind of going out, not going out. And after a few drinks, when stuff doesn't work, things get a little dicey. So I'm like, you know what? We're not doing this anymore. We went down to Guitar Center. I said, I'm buying a PA system with a microphone with good speakers. So I bought my wife just the most amazing PA system. So every party now, she has the whole thing, the stand, the mic, and she can just belt it as loud as she wants. That's me showing up as a partner saying, what you think is cool is now cool to me because you're cool to me and I'm your partner. And she feels like there is that solidarity, and she can trust that she's not just, as I call it, I don't know how crude we can be on this, this talk, but most women with their men feel like a walking vagina. Like a guy, all he wants, many women, I've talked to a lot of the women of the men that I've helped, and they go, all I felt like was I was just a walking vagina. All he wanted was sex, and that's all he would approach me for. That's all he had time for. And it's like, well, no wonder she's not that thrilled, right?
Yeah.
So anyhow, that became very obvious to me that I needed to fix that dial. And once I did, there was that friendship, and and knowing that she was attracted to me from before, that if I could build that and show her that I'm in this relationship as a partner, that attraction can start to build. That's dial number one. Any thoughts or questions you want to throw at me after that dial, Miko?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just listening to you explain that dial, like I can feel that attraction is so natural. It's when we are given that all of the right environment, the atmosphere for that attraction to just naturally bubbles up. It's when you show up as a partner. And I can also, I love that you also really emphasize that the power is in the hands of the guy. Like the man has full power to show up as the partner for the woman, for the partner, so that attraction has space to blossom. And that's really what I believe a conscious lover is as well. Like we are empowered to becoming this partner that our woman desires. And that all comes down to you stepping up to becoming that.
Amen. And I have an analogy where I help the guys understand it. Like if your wife came up to you every day and was like, hey, can I have some money? And you're like, yeah, sure. And you gave him some money. And then the next day she came up and was like, hey, do you mind if I have some money? And you're like, yeah, sure. How was your day? She's like, I'm really busy. And then she walked off. The third day she comes up and says, hey, I have some more money. And you give her money. And then you're like, hey, so how was your day? She's like, man, I got to take this call. I'm really busy. You would feel like a walking wallet. And no guy would want to feel like that. So that's how our women feel when all we do is show up and like, she goes, hey, can I have a back rub? You're like, yeah, I'll give you a back rub. And she's like, oh my God, dude, I just want a back rub, douche. You know what I mean? So that dial is a huge dial. The second dial, and I messed that dial up massively. The second dial that I messed up massively was the parenting dial. Women have it in their DNA that when they have a baby, that's the only thing that matters at that point, is taking that baby that they created inside themselves. Now it's outside in the world, to raise that thing to maturity so it can defend itself. And that baby is more important to the husband. And the reason I know that is because you don't see moms divorcing kids, but you see moms divorcing dads all the time. And so I wasn't that great of a dad. I would kind of just leave everything to her because I'm over building the business and I'm protecting and providing, and I can't be bothered with that. And then she's like, dude, but when you're not working, you're a dad, right? And so I'm going to give a very simple example I've done way worse than this, but here's a very simple example that most guys can appreciate. So I usually work until about 5-ish, and we go on family dates now. In the past, I would get off around 5, I would fart around, and if I said, hey, we're gonna leave at 5:15, I'd be strolling down, ready to go at 5:14 and 45 seconds and ready to jump in the car. Like, you guys ready? And my wife had to get Jovi's shoes on. She had to put her in the car. She had to get the car started. She had to get everything ready. So now I'm like, you know what? Why don't I show up 10 minutes early and help? And be like, let me put my daughter's shoes on. Let me joke around with my daughter. Let me get her excited. Let me put her in the car seat. Let me get the car ready so that you can come down after a long day with being with her. Or, my daughter goes to school, but she comes home around 2. Why don't I like step in as like a actual participating dad? And I was such a bad dad. My wife's like, I don't even want another kid with you. You're like such a horrible dad. I don't want another kid with you. So when you're not that great of a dad to your kids, the wife really resents that, because that's her most precious possession, and you're not investing much in it. And she's just like, you know what? I don't want to go have sex with you and be intimate with you and be connected with you when you don't spend any time with our daughter. That was another dial. I radically made a mistake. Now, not every guy has kids, but most of them do. And this is a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think just by you taking that small step to dedicating 10 minutes to say, let me do this for you, I can feel that the feminine can instantly surrender into your masculine lead. Like, you stepping in and being that man and doing little things like that allows a woman to feel like she can surrender, she can ease back, she can open up to receive you in the bedroom, in life, like, it doesn't matter. And I also love that Keith, you emphasize this specific dial, because I am a believer that a man can have a wildly successful career and also a thriving relationship, a partnership, a marriage. It goes hand in hand. It's not something that we turn off and turn on, like switch on and off between work and relationship. It comes together so intimately. Yeah.
And it's a really big thing. I mean, that's why the cliche joke is, watching a dad change a baby's diaper. They're like, oh, that's so hot. The reason for it is because it shows, and I have a phrase, I go, when, the trust up equals lust up. When a woman can trust that her man is like, I'm here, I'm a rock. I call myself a California redwood. I was born and raised in California. Redwoods are immovable. And it's like, whether every area I step in, I'm like, I'm immovable. You can count on me. You can build a house off of me. You could drive a truck through me. Nothing's going to matter because I'm immovable. So that does deliver that trust. The third dial, I call it the producer dial. And that is this, that you are a man that is producing so that he can provide for his family. And it's just real simple. A woman wants a guy that can go out and slay buffalo so he can bring home meat to eat and pelts to keep everybody warm. Like, that's as primal as it gets. And so if you're on the couch and you're not wanting to better your life and you don't have any drive or ambition, it's super unattractive. It's just like, what are you going to wait? You're going to hope the government's going to help you? Or like, what are you doing, dude? Are you not, nobody wants to be on a train going to nowhere. And so what I always say is like, you don't have to be a millionaire, but you have to have drive and ambition for more and for better, because every woman I've met wants more, wants better, wants to up level. Women are beautiful creatures that want to up level and continue to grow and expand. And when you are a producer, you're like, I'm going to go slay some buffalo. I'm going to go do this thing. That's amazing. And producer mainly means money, but it can also mean other things in the sense of you're producing results in your life. Meaning if a guy's like, hey, I'm going to go on a diet and lose weight, but you never do, you always talk about it, you're not producing results. There's this disconnect. She's like, oh, he's full of shit. And no woman is into guys that are full of shit. It's super unattractive to them. So that's the third dial. Anything you want to say about that one, Miko?
I can speak on that for sure, that I find a man very attractive when he can have the results that he said he's going to deliver. He stands behind what he said he's going to do. Like, that is so attractive compared to a man that is kind of shaky in what he say he's going to do, doesn't deliver, doesn't produce. And I feel like my analogy when it comes to that is that a man has potency when he goes all in on something that he's going to do. And that just makes him naturally attractive. And just minor things. I mean, just dedicating yourself to going all in, producing, being potent, it's going to change every other aspects of his life, and not only in his relationship.
100%. 100%. That brings us to the fourth dial, which most guys fail miserably at, and I did too. And it's the player dial. It's the guy that brings fun to the relationship. I always say that, I like to quote the greatest American poet ever, Cyndi Lauper, when she says, girls just want to have fun. When it boils right down to it, if you're not fun, if she doesn't have any fun around you, or you don't go out on dates and have fun, or you don't take care of yourself, you're not continuing to evolve and becoming this guy that frankly every woman would want, then she's like, there's no more fun in this. And a lot of guys will be like, hey, when's the last time you took your wife on a date? And like, oh, well, 2 weeks ago we hit Home Depot and Chick-fil-A on the way home. It was awesome. I'm like, that is not awesome. That is not awesome. That is lame. I said, so here's the new standard for dating as far as I'm concerned. You ready? Everybody in high school had a crush on there was that girl or that guy that everybody had a crush on, that they're like, oh my God, I love that person. And I tell every guy, I said, imagine this. There was that girl in high school that you were just totally jonesing for. You had total crush on. Imagine she sees you now and you're totally single. And she falls into your DMs. It's like, oh my God, I'd love to catch up. Let's go on a date, blah, blah, blah. How would you show up? You would show up like you're trying to get laid. You would show up to try and be the most attractive. You wouldn't wear sloppy clothes and come in fresh from the gym all sweaty like, hey, what's up? No, dude, you would make sure you're clean shaven, your hair's done, your clothes fit. You're on your best behavior because you're trying to put your best foot forward. Yet when guys get married, they end up becoming these guys with dad bods. They don't go out on dates anymore. They're like, oh, maybe we'll get to it. They're not fun. They don't have parties at their own house. They're not a player in the sense of they don't know how to play. And they become boring. And women don't get lady boners over boring men.
That is such a good point. And I see that a lot. I see that in my friends' relationships. Almost like the moment we get into a partnership, we kind of let ourselves go in some sense. But what I'm hearing you say is that the marriage, the partnership gets to be almost this thing that pulls us to becoming our best, to have more fun in life. And what came to my mind as I hear you speak about this is I feel like oftentimes men, women, doesn't matter. We lose the fun in our lives is because we are so focused on performance, so focused on achievements or taking things way too seriously. And we forget how to have fun and loosen up and be spontaneous. So I'm just curious if you can speak a little bit more on that. Like, what do you see supports men to bring out more of that fun in their lives?
Well, the next dial is actually what people need to be able to make this dial even better. But I'll explain what it is, because a guy who has confidence and can lead and make decisions and be like, hey, I always say this, and people go, time is your greatest asset. I don't believe that. I think energy is your greatest asset, because if you had all the time in the world, but you were bedridden, that would kind of be like pretty sucky position. If you had no energy, but you had all the time in the world, that would be like hell on earth. So energy comes before time, and energy and time are our greatest assets. So I always say, here's what it is. It takes energy to plan a good date, to be ready for the time you actually spend together. So for me, the other day, I like horseback riding. Haven't done a ton of it, but I lived in Montana for 8.5 years, and we would ride horses quite a bit, and we had a good time. And so the other day, I said, hey, Thursday at such and such time, I booked us a horse riding. We're going to go horseback riding. And she's like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. So I had to call like 5 different equestrian centers to find out who's actually doing horse rides, blah, blah, blah. So it takes energy and effort to be able to plan something that's cool. It's like, what would you plan for somebody else that you were trying to woo? Well, woo the one that you've already got. And so it's things like that. It's listening. I took Jesse to an Alanis Morissette concert. I don't know that I ever thought I would ever want to go to an Alanis Morissette concert. Probably never. But she wanted to go. So I'm like, well, she's in town. We lived in Vegas at the time. I'm like, let's go. And we went there and she sung her heart out. And I just sat there, was like, right on, man. The first song was great. These other 13, I have no idea what's going on here. So that's what I mean. It's not just we're going where I want to go, but it's like, hey, what would like totally geek her out? It'd almost be as if a lot of guys like sports. It'd almost be as if your wife's like, listen, I got us playoff tickets and we're going to such a night. You would like shit your pants. You're like, damn, woman, dude, you're the best. Flip that script. Find out what gets her excited and see how you can do that. So for me, my wife loves karaoke. She likes going dancing. She likes singing. So I go, well, then that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go find a place. And then it's in those environments because she knows I care about her. Like, 3 or 4 days ago, we're coming back from a little dive bar. She likes to go. Her dad plays guitar there and they dance and sing. We're leaving the dive bar and she's like, pull over in that parking lot right now. I need you. I'm like, yes, ma'am. You know what I mean? Because I'm a giver, not a taker. I create opportunities for her to flourish, not just be like, come with me, we're doing this. That's the difference. That's the nuance.
Yeah, it's so good. Like the way I look at it is that balance, the harmony between the feminine essence and the masculine drive within every single one of us.
Yeah.
And the feminine, it's almost the thing that magnifies and ignites the masculine power inside of a man. So I hear you say that you were open to spontaneity. You were open to go with the flow, be fluid in how you show up for your wife, and being open to things that maybe you typically wouldn't do for yourself. And that allows you to almost step up in your masculine power, and that attraction just amps up automatically.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. And then the last dial, this is the power dial. A lot of men have their power and didn't lose it. They sold it. They got rid of it. They didn't want it anymore. And this personal power is the big thing. Because when I mean this, and when people work with me, we have them ask 4 questions every day at the end of the day. And am I improving myself for her validation? And if she doesn't notice, do I get ticked off? That's the wrong reason to do any of this. When everybody comes into married game, I go, I know you want your wife to have sex with you. I know you want her to want you. But most guys are buying gifts, saying yes more. They're trying to do more around the house. They're doing the right actions, but they're doing it with the wrong attitude. Meaning they're doing it for a pat on the head, like, oh, good boy. Oh, you want your sex? Okay, let me give you a sex. And so they're doing everything with look at all I'm doing. Where's my sex? And it's like, no, dude, you do all that stuff because that's what a good dude does. I don't wash the dishes in my house, but if they're, when my wife leaves, and sometimes she'll leave for the weekend to go hang out with her family, and I have my daughter all weekend, I clean everything up. So when she comes back, she doesn't have a bunch of, shit to fix. I was like, no, come back to an amazing house because I'm actually a good dude. I'm an adult. I know how to wipe my own ass. So come on back. So it's this power is, why are you doing this? And this is the thing, even if the other guys dial, the other 4 dials massively in, if there's still this neediness that reeks out of their pores, a woman's just like, he's just doing this to get sex. He's not doing this because that's who he really is. He's just doing this to get something. And that is really unattractive. Like, she'll appreciate these things and be like, well, thanks, thank God he's not just a caveman. But it's not going to cause that deep internal, like, feminine longing for your masculine, because you're still like a little boy to her. Like when I tell people, I go, my wife's not my better half. My wife might be my other half, but she's not my better half. She's better looking at me, but she's better looking than me to guys. But it's like this whole, that's my better half. Like, this guy is like shrinking because, no, dude, stand in your power. A woman wants to know she can run up against you, and she will test you from time to time, not because she's a bitch or because she's mean. It's because she goes, can I lean on you? And that's where a man needs to do hard things so he can actually be proud of himself, impress himself, and have this attitude. And I tell every guy this when they come into our program, listen, you got to have the attitude that if my wife doesn't like the new me, she must be blind, deaf, or dumb. And if she wants to leave, her loss, because I'm so damn attractive that there will be 100 people at my front door that are women saying, how can I be the next Mrs. Yackey? And so it's, a woman wants to feel honored. She wants to look across the room like, that's my man. That's what gets her saying, pull over, or, hey, I know you're supposed to go up and do comedy in 30 minutes, but lock the green room door because I want to fuck you before you go up. That's the real polarity of masculinity. And frankly, our society has done us a real disservice over the last 60 years of feminizing men, thinking that, oh, women are better than men. No, they're just complementary. We are complementary wholes. We need them, they need us. And we have to bleed this need of guys that are just like, oh my God, I just need it. I need it. I need it. It's like neediness is the biggest, most unattractive thing in the world. So we dial in how to regain your power so that you can stand alone as like a mighty tree, that any wind that blows against you, you're not going to get toppled. And people flock to that kind of power.
Oh, this is so good. I'm feeling turned on just envisioning this man that's in his power versus like the neediness. Energy is real. We can really pick that up as women. We can really feel that in the man when he's needing, he's acting out of a need, or he's behaving out of a need. That is so obvious. And it's a turn off, just to say it from a woman's perspective.
Massive turn off.
Massive turn off. Yeah. So Keith, this has been amazing. These 5 dials, so simple, so potent, every single one of them. I can just see when a man master all of these 5 dials, instantly he becomes attractive. There's nothing else that he really needs to do. No gimmicks, no strategy. But at the end of the day, he also becomes a better man, with or without the partner. Obviously, the point is to create the attraction again. But so potent. I'm curious if you could quickly recap the 5 dials just so we can hone in and summarize.
You bet. And there's a name. Once you file all those dials, you become the provocateur.
Ooh.
The provocateur is the man that provokes his woman's lust within her to want him. So you're an amazing partner. You're an amazing parent. You're an amazing producer. You're an amazing player. And you own your power and you have not given it away to anybody else. That is the provocateur. That is the guy that has a wife that says, I can't wait for him to get home. I want to hang out with him. And think of attraction is leaning in. It's not always just ripping your clothes off, but it's leaning in. I want to hear what you have to say. What are your thoughts on this? I look to you as the leader. I want to know. You know what I mean? I'm the leader of my house, even though my wife is a strong, independent, amazing human being. And I continue to put shine on her. Like, keep going, grow. The more you grow, the more it pushes me to grow, because that's the essence. And I want to be a true power couple, is 2 people growing, and they're interdependent. They're not codependent on each other, they're not independent of each other. They're growing interdependent of each other. So that is what we teach at Married Game. And that's how we teach guys how to really become the best version of themselves. And 9 out of 10 guys, their wives turn back to them. 1 out of 10 guys says, I feel so powerful, I don't want her anymore, because she's not going to rise up to the standard that I now live to. And I said, amen. Amen. Don't settle for anything less than you deserve and what you want. The problem is most guys don't deserve it because they haven't done the work.
And I just want to add one more P to this amazing equation. It's presence. I trust that the conscious lover has this powerful presence about him that just makes him so desired by the feminine, because the feminine is that fluid wave, like the ocean, that just really yearns for this presence of a masculine energy. So for us to be able to flow in, to unleash in, and it makes a man very attractive.
Yes. Yeah. Because when a guy that's this powerful turns his attention on a woman, it fills up all her buckets, because that's what she craves. She goes, I want the attention of this strong masculine man. And now when you become that and you can shine your attention, she doesn't want to lose that attention. And it causes her to grow and bloom. That's why I talk about putting shine on my wife, because I know how powerful I've become. And that when I gaze my attention on her and like let her know, dude, you've got my heart. You got my heart. Let's go. It really causes this. We still fight every once in a while, but that's what people do. We're all humans, man. But the intimacy and the connection is so powerful. And I'll never go back to the other way. And she won't let me go back, which is also a good thing, because she'll remind me, hey, dude, come on now.
Well, Keith, I just want to say thank you so much on behalf of all of the men out there, all of the listeners that are tuning in. Thank you so much for having walked the path, for being so devoted to your work, and for sharing these powerful 5 dials with us today. And if anyone would love to follow you and learn from you further, how can they connect with you?
Well, a couple ways. They can follow me on social media. It's at Keith Yackey, KeithYackey, on Instagram. Same Keith Yackey on Facebook, or they can go to marriedgame.com. And I break all this stuff down in more in depth and basically show them how they can really fix this. And eventually, if they want to, they can book a call with me and chat with me, and we can see if we can help them.
Awesome. And I want to circle this all the way back to the beginning. I heard you say that when you were in that low point in your marriage, you seeked out support. You hired 3 coaches. So for all of the men listening out there, it is so powerful to say yes to receiving support. So if Keith is your man, go follow him, get in touch with him, or continue to tune into the Conscious Lover series. And please share this with anyone that you know can absolutely benefit, and it might just change someone's life. And until then, we'll see you again next time. Take care.